in this video, we're going to continue on where we left off here. So we have these buttons here, but now we make the scroll bar, and you can see here now we have a scrollable effect here. Once we click on it, we go to left and right, while the X and Y axis maintain. You can see here this moves nicely. So let's start to look at this, and very important, if you have not followed along with the other video, which is this one here, go watch this first before you continue on with this here. So let's start to explore how to add a scroll bar in Chartjs. So this video is a continuation of the previous video, and if you want to first watch this one, I recommend you to watch this video first, how to create the buttons that scroll the chart left and right. I will put this video also in the comment section, so make sure you watch that first, because this is a continuation of that video. So far we have these buttons here, but of course now let's start to create the scroll bar at the bottom. So to do this, we're going to scroll down here, and then what we need to do here is, let me double check here, that will be in here. So in here, we're going to start to draw a specific scroll bar at the bottom here. So to do this, we're going to say CTX. And then from here, CTX, what we're going to say here is the begin path to indicate that we're going to draw a new shape. And here, just for the sake of it, I'll make it simple. I'll say CTX.fill style to give it a gray color or light gray. So I will not spend too much time on the design of it. And then once we did that, what I want to do now is to draw the rectangle. So I'm going to say a CTX.rect. And this is all canvas related items. So what I want to do here is the following. We have to really consider how will our item look like, or our scroll bar. Well, we want to put it at the bottom here, and we want to be able to scroll from here. Let's say this is the starting point all to the right here. So to make it very simple, I'm going to just say here first left, which is basically from our chart area here. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say besides the left, then we have here the Y value. Where do I want to put it? At the bottom. So we can say here bottom. That's one of the other chart area commands. Comma. And let's say we want to have a width. Well, basically from here to there. And then a thickness of 15 pixels or a height of 15 pixels. So I'm going to say here width, and then we say here 15. Of course, we will not be done yet, but we can modify it later on. So once I have this, what I want to say here next is I'm going to say here CTX.fill to draw the item, and then CTX.close path. Let's see what we have here. If I save this and refresh, you can see here we have something, but it looks very undesirable. What happens is it's overlapping items, but we should be more down. So let's start to push this a little bit more down. So here in the bottom, we can just say here plus 30 pixels more. If I do this and save it and refresh, we have it now. We push it so far down, it is eventually out of the canvas. So let's start to give here some padding at the bottom first. So if we go here down, we have here the padding right, put a comma here, and I'm going to say here padding bottom will be equal to 30 pixels. Save that, refresh, and now we have again our shape. However, what I want to do as well is I want to have eventually here a button, and that button could be like a square with the arrow pointing to the left side. In this video, I want to cover how to create the arrow, so most likely I will make a separate video for that, or a continuation of it. But we should have here, let's say, a square that would be very similar to this eventually. And same here, on the right side, we should have the one, or an arrow pointing to the right side. So let's start to create that one. To do this, I want to have some space here, because this is just the drawing area. So what I'm going to do here is for the left, if I will create a item here, maybe 15 pixels by 15 pixels, so I'm going to say here left plus 15 pixels. So if I save that, refresh, what happens now, we have here some additional space. Although the width here doesn't recognize that because the width is still the same. So basically what we need to do here, we're going to say here, we have this, or the width here. If you would do minus 15, we will end it just at the end here. But of course, I want to have again minus 15 because we have another square here. So I'm going to say here minus 30, save, refresh. There we are. So now we have this, and then let's start to work on these squares here. So what I'm going to do here is just here down, I'm going to put another one here. You can just do another begin path. And then let's say for here, we can get the color here. This is the reddish pink color. I'm going to copy that. Just put it in here. And then if I have this one now, if I save this and refresh, it's just a duplication of it. However, I only want to have like 15 by 15 pixels. So what we can say here, we have this negative, or sorry, the plus. We're going to remove the plus. It's only left. Then here, this is still the same, and then the width is just only 15 pixels. So if I save this, refresh, there we are. So now we have our first item. Let's build one here at the other one. So what we can do is we can just copy this. I just duplicate this rectangle here, except for left. I'm going to say here right. If I save that, let's see what happens. We are here, and then what I need to do here is the right needs to be negative 15. So we need to deduct 15 from it, so it will go nicely in here. There we are. Alright, so now we have this part. What we want to do now is to create the so-called the bar that would indicate where we are. And if we would click on it eventually here, we should be able to see it move. So that will be the next one. So to do that, what I'm going to do here is, well, we can just say here, let me just give here. We will say here, this is the scroll bar. Then here, we would have the movable bar. So in the movable bar, we have to consider a few things. First of all, we need to know how many data points we have. Because every time we have a data point, we should jump X amount or percentage in that, well, basically whatever would represent this here should represent here at the bottom. So let's start to do that one. So to do this, we need to basically give a starting point here. So I'm going to say here let starting point. And the reason why I'm going to say here let starting point and not constant starting point is we'll probably be needing this later on for an if statement to check if it would be not surpassing the bar. So for example, if we keep on going here, clicking on this, we might eventually surpass that, and we want to avoid that issue. So it will be stuck here at the very end. So we will understand where the ending point is. So what I'm going to say here, well, first of all, let's draw a shape first. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to make the same item. I'm going to say here ctx dot well, begin path, and I'm going to say here ctx dot fill style. For this, I'm just going to make it black, and we can always fine tune this later on. We can make it very beautiful eventually, but that's not the focus of this specific video. So we're going to say here black. The next thing what I want to do here is I need to know basically the let's see, the width of the bar, because let's make this very simple. We're going to ctx dot rectangle, and this rectangle here we're going to put in the starting point. So I'm going to just grab here the starting point, and we know the starting point is left plus 15. Although this starting point later on will be fine-tuned, so we have to work on that later on. So then we're going to say here the y value is the bottom plus 30. Copy that, put it in here. Next, we're going to define the width. So here, we can say for now, I'll just make it very simple. We're going to say width defined by, let's say 4 for now. I'm going to explain why I'm using 4, because it's based on a data set anyway. But that's later on. And then we're going to say here 15. Let's just draw something first. Then I'm going to say here ctx dot fill to draw the background color, and then ctx dot close path. So then it's done. Save this, refresh. Alright, so now we have this, but of course if we click on here, it doesn't move. So we have to make sure we move this. But we need to also calculate what is the width exactly here. So you can see we're displaying 7 data points at a time. And if I click on this, we can see here we can only go basically 4 times here. Why? Because let's look here at our data point. Our data point here, this data here, the length of this should be 28. So let's go down here. That's this one here. And then we can start to calculate this. So what I want to do here, just for it now, for us to say constant. And let's say here, we have this width divided by 4. But what we need to do here, the width must eventually be divided by the amount of data points we have. And then whatever data point we're positioned, even if we would go, for example, only 1 data point to the right, it should only grow here a tiny section and not a whole percentage. Well, I'll just show it to you. It makes more sense. So what we're going to do here is, I'm going to say here the bar width. Let's calculate the bar width first. So we're going to say the bar width. What is the bar width then? Well, we're going to grab here the width. Remember, because we have here plus 15, and the other side was, if we go here, on the rectangle, the width is minus 30. So this is the one we need to know. This is the real width, because we want to have from this point all up to here, not the red points or the red squares. So we need to deduct that. So we have this. That is our first item. However, I'm going to put it in parentheses to give this priority. And then afterwards, I'm going to divide this. So what I'm going to divide this with? So I'm going to divide this by data, well basically this one here. Data.datasets index 0 length data.length. So then we will get that. So we're going to say here data.datasets index 0 data.length, and the length should be 28 here. So if I save this, and now I'm going to just copy this and put it in here, save, refresh, we get only one item. So if it would go only one item, it would jump only a little bit. So this is fine, but remember, as I indicated, we are seeing 7 data points. So I'm going to say here the bar width, because we calculate now the width of one item, multiplied by 7 data points. Save, refresh. There we are. So this should be it. So now we have this one here. So that's the first one. That's the bar width. And maybe what we could do here is we can just even say this and then multiply by 7 data points here. So then what I need is, well, let's see. We need to have now as well the total width. We need to calculate what's the total width. And the total width will help us because later on, if I move this, well, let's see if I can just start moving this before we do anything else. So we have here the starting point. And what we need to do with this starting point here, well, let's start to work on that one first. This starting point will be left plus 15. That is already given because we want to start here. Of course, maybe if your data would start at the other point, we want to make sure it's being calculated. So how do we do this? Well, we're going to say here again plus, starting with plus width, and then what I want to do here is divide by our data point length here. So if I save this, that's our starting point here. All right, so this works. So then what I need to do here is basically start to move this. So how do we move this now? Because we have this one here with the data length. Let me check. All right. So this one here, I just hard-coded this, but I realized this, of course, needs to be soft-coded. How? Because this is our starting point. If I scroll down here, we will have eventually this one here. This is what I need to know. The moment we move, this is moving as well. So let me show you, so you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. In here, this here, what I need is the moving, so I'm going to say constant. And I'm going to just grab here, I'll say here chart, constant, let's say here the min. And this will be chart dot, or maybe we can even do here options. Let's see, that should be the options if I'm correct. Let me check. Alright, sorry, that is chart.options. That's the right term. Chart options, and then we say here dot. Let's scroll down here. From the options, we go to scales, we go to X, we go to min. So in here we say scales.x.min. This number here becomes important for us, so I guess we can put it there. Save and refresh. I move this. Alright. Doesn't work yet, so let's see here. We have this. And then we're going to say minimum is that. And then of course we need to get here the starting point. Grab the starting point here because we didn't have it here. I had it hard coded. If I save this now, I should have something moving. Alright. Once I move, as you can see here, it starts to work nicely. Now we have only one issue. If I go here, look what's happening. We're overlapping here. We're going far too much ahead, and I don't want that. So what I want to do here is the following. We're going to start recalculate that one on, let's see here on our starting point here. The moment we are, starting point, the moment we are too far here, I want to make sure it just stops there, or stops at the right place, or it starts at the right place, so the width of it is correct. Because I don't want to reduce the size of the bar, because this bar is still correct as in the shape of it. There must be some other reason. I'm sure that there's maybe a calculation somewhere. I'm missing something, or maybe because the padding here. So I wonder if this padding might have an issue here. If I would say here padding, because remember we had a padding at the right side of 18, so we could maybe deduct that. If we have the bar width here, you have the width, maybe say this, and then also minus 18. I'm not sure if that would be the issue. No. Alright, so that is not the case, so we're going to remove that. Don't worry, we'll still fix it, because what I want to do is I want to make sure it will just stop here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at this starting point here. And what I want to do is I want to calculate if you're at the starting point. So I'm going to say here a console log. Let's look at that, because we have the starting point in pixels. If I refresh here, open up developer tab. See, our starting point is now at 42. Alright, so if I click on that, 200, this, and there we are. So we have this here, 553. That's a starting point. Then we need to figure out what is the width of our bar. Is it beyond, which is probably the case, beyond the chart area width, which is this width here. Not the space here, but the width of this to here. So we're going to check that one. So we're going to say here, plus the bar width. And what I want to do is I want to compare this to what exactly with our default width. Or not even, or maybe the width, we can check on that. So we have this here. You can see our width is 654, which is number 154 here. Alright. And then what I want to do here is, you can see here, if I push this, no, I didn't know what happened. If I push this here, we're moving away. Now we have 525, and if I click again, as you can see here, this is our width, and this is our width or starting point plus the bar. We're surpassing of 30 pixels, as you can see here. So we need to make sure that this is intelligent enough. So what I'm going to do here is a simple if statement, and this if statement will do the following. We're going to say here, let's put it down here, if the starting point plus bar width is larger, oh sorry, we're not allowed to do that of course in a if statement, so I'm going to say here, constant total width, which is, I'm just going to copy this, put it in there, let's say cut out or copy that one and say here, total width, if the total width surpasses the width, in that case what I want to do is I want to change the size of it. So I'm going to say here the starting point will not be anymore whatever is our formula, but I want to overrule that formula, and we'll say our starting point will be equal to, we can just do it very simple, I'll probably say the right side, which is basically where we calculate with the pixel here of 15, minus 15, and then minus the width of the bar. So once we do this, we can comment out those here, save that, and let's see now if we reach this correctly. Alright, total width is not defined. Alright, fair enough, because I didn't do that. Sorry, don't do that one. Make sure you have the constant, of course, active. Now if I click, there we are. Even if I keep on clicking, it will not anymore surpass this. So that is the first part. So we had here, and this one here was basically the length here, but if I would do only one, and let's say for the sake of it, I'm going to change here, make this all 1, and I'll just make this one 1, let's see if that works nicely. So this is getting smaller now, and if I move here 1, 1, 1, there we are. And if I keep on going until the very, very end. Oh, what happened there? I didn't know. I guess we're doing here something, probably, oh, of course. Most likely is we're surpassing a certain moment here. Of course, the scroll here doesn't work. If I move here 1, 1, 1, eventually we will hit a point that is reducing it, and most likely it's because of this. I should do maybe this one back to its original state. Click on this. We should be able to. Alright, so you can see here, but of course this here still slightly different, but that's alright. This is basically how we have to do it, but here it requires a lot of logic as well. So you might have to check on this, and then eventually you check here, you're going to this. But if I save this, we'll put this back on 7. If you wonder why 7, it's basically the min and max difference here, which is 7 items. So you could make that soft coded as well. But if you do this, this one now start to work, and most likely there will be a separate video for that. But if you understand in my previous video how I did this one here, you could move this clickable effect into here and here, and then eventually we should have draw something, but I will make a complete video for that individually. But also I want to continue on eventually with this one here, making sure that we can drag this to the left and right, because that is still a missing part of our scroll bar here. So if you enjoyed this video, eventually I will make this the next part, which will be probably the final part of it, where we can create the scrollable effect here with the moving of the mouse move and making this bar here draggable. So there will be a separate video. They will pop up here once that video has been created.